Welcome to a Friday Reads on this gloomy day here in Boston, so hopefully the lighting's all good. I had a very long camping trip with a lot of sun, and so I didn't read much at the end of July, but I've already finished a book this August, so we're already doing better in terms of number of books, and I have started to dig into all the indie books that I have for the Indie Book Fest, which, if you don't know, I am hosting a panel for that on August 14th. I am super pumped, very excited to pick the brains of these authors, especially because they are doing stuff in fantasy that I don't see very often, at least based off the first two books that I will talk about today. So we will start with the one I have finished, and that's The Sword in the Street. So this is a short fantasy, which is fantastic. It's like 350-ish pages, and it's kind of the first in a series, but also a complete thought within its own right, and it's kind of sort of day in the life. So we have this area that all legal disputes are handled with duels, so all of it's done with fencing, sword fights, and in terms of their economy, you can't work unless you have a patron. So you cannot be self-employed, and there's definitely disparities between the haves and the haves not. So nothing super unique in that regard. I mean, in fantasy, we always have kind of people who are in poverty trying to get through it or find their way to be empowered in a very unfair system. So one of our main characters is a sword master. He is very good at dueling. He's been doing it since he was a kid. He also has a backstory with some contentious parent figures that he's trying not to become, sort of thing. And as things happen in the story, you see him struggle with being poor in a system that's unjust to him, but also keeping morals and figuring out when he crosses a line. So he's really interesting. And then his boyfriend, Edwin, is a student who has anxiety and is neurodivergent, and that was very interesting because I don't think I have read a character like that before, which it was really interesting to have that character written, and I believe the author at least describes themselves as having a mental disability, and I don't know if that's own voices for Edwin's representation in the story, but it really did feel like it was done with care, and also it was done in a very humanizing way. You're not made to think everything Edwin done is perfect or is allowed because of their neurodivergency, but you also kind of empathize and understand why certain things are complicated for them. And both of these characters, because of their circumstances and because of just who they are very flawed and really messy, which is one of my favorite things. And I loved their interactions and the messiness of their relationship and kind of going through it. It kind of talks about a lot of things that I've actually had to think about in my own life, but in this fantasy setting, which I always appreciate. And although I wouldn't say there was this huge overarching plot to the story, I was captivated the entire time. I blew through it in 2 days. Part of that is it's short, but it was very readable to me. I loved bouncing between these two point of views and figuring out what was going to happen. A lot of the drama was in their poverty, was in their relationship, and seeing how they were going to overcome that and what decisions they were going to make. And I was always rooting for them, even when they made decisions that I was like, oh, that's... And I think that's a really strong story. So I really like that. I'm very excited to see if we get other books in this world, because the magic system, although it's a very low magic book, looks really interesting. You only get a taste of it. So this is more of a fantasy that's in another world, and it has more sword fighting. So I was more into it because of the characters. There really wasn't a lot of magic, and the world building wasn't the part that intrigued me, although had an interesting class system. Like I said, it wasn't too different from other fantasies that I've consumed, but I loved the characters, and I just thought how they moved through the world was really interesting. There was one part where I was like, wait, why did this character do that? So maybe that could have been fleshed out more for me. But otherwise, super good. I recommend, especially if anything I said sounds remotely interesting. I was very excited. And now I'm reading The Boy with Fire. And we all know I am apprehensive about marketing comparisons. I am always just okay, so which part of this thing are we comparing it to? And this one is Dune meets the Poppy War. It's two heavy hitters. I will say so far, I see why those comparisons were made, and I'm excited. So this is kind of like a sci fantasy, which I was not expecting despite the Dune tagline, but it's a desert world with lots of dunes. And there is a lot of technology, a lot of hologram type things, a lot of hover cars. There's a lot of tech. There's these really cool suits people wear for fights. So technology speaking, it's a high-tech fantasy book, which I need more of in my life. always, and there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of quelling rebellions. There's a prophecy coming into being. Like, there's a lot of that political tension, and you get multiple POVs. One's a princess, one's the king, and one is kind of a traitor character, but not really. And I really like this character because the world building is super cool in this. I don't have a strong grasp of it yet, but I'm like really loving it. And this character is from the country we're in, but also from another country that seems to be at odds with this country. So they are of two races, or I don't know if it's races, but they're of two nationalities. So they're mixed, and I'm always interested in that point of view, especially like when people are judging your allegiances or loyalties. He also, at this moment, is disabled because of a fight he was in, so he's a sword fighter warrior who doesn't completely have all of his faculties, and I'm interested in that a lot. And the magic, it looks really cool. It's based off fire and the vengeance of a phoenix, which I think that's the tie-in to the Poppy War, which I'm cool with because that's the part of the Poppy War that I wanted more of. So if that's the part we have, I'm here. So I'm only like 17% of the way in, but I like all the people. I like all the tensions. I want to know more. Like, there seem to be a lot of different peoples, and some of them seem to have genetic differences. Like, there's this one group of people who have like this hair that is like at first like silky and then can sharpen, and it's like really tactical. There's so many cool ideas in this book, so I'm really into it. So that's what I'm reading. And then I have 2 audiobooks I'm flipping between because I am buddy reading Disfigured. It has a longer title. You'll see the book here. This is a nonfiction about disability representation in fairy tales and kind of the evolution of that and what we take in, and it is really good. I'm buddy reading this with Shannon from That's So Po, so we're just doing like 2 chapters at a time, and I'm having to hold myself back. That's how much I really like this nonfiction. It's really good because the author themselves has, I think it's cerebral palsy, and so they are talking about their own experiences in the work and are very open about what experiences they can't speak to. And when they do bring things up, there's very clear like definitions and different modes of thinking, and it's really helping me as someone who's been wanting to understand, I don't know, my own relationship with recognizing when something is ableist and how to correctly refer to people with disabilities, like just being better at knowing the vocabulary and things like that as someone who is able-bodied. This is helping me with that, and especially in how I relate to my favorite genres in science fiction and fantasy. Like, this is a fairy tale lens, but you can really kind of expand it out. So that's been really cool. And so when I need audiobook time, and I can't listen to that because I've already caught up or something, I've been listening to We Hunt the Flames. This is my reread before I read We Free the Stars, because I wanted to get back into it because it'd been like over a year since I read it. And it's a really fun young adult fantasy. You've got a female character who's a huntress, and she has this special gift that they need to help find a thing that's going to bring magic back to the world. And it's just fun fantasy quest with a group of people, really like angsty prince who like thinks that they're evil, but they're really not, but they like are forced to do evil things because of their corrupt king father. Like, it has a lot of the trappings that I like from some young adult, but in a really cool setting. This is also a desert fantasy. And yeah, I really like the characters of this one, so it's just been fun to reconsume it in audiobook form. So those are all the things that I'm reading. And next up, actually no, there's one more. I just looked at my sheet. I have started Illusionary, but it's on hold while I finish my indie books. I'm a third of the way through. Zoraida Cordova is like my favorite young adult author. Like, I want to finish it, but I'm trying to like prioritize these other reads. But I read the first like 20% in one night, which is rare for me to like read that much at a night. And I had to tell myself, hey, go to sleep. Like, the tropes that she uses, and I was right, my favorite trope is in this book, which makes me so excited. And the way she reminds you of things that have happened in the past, and I just really like it. Like, it really has what I want from like a cozy young adult reading experience, but with really cool magic and intrigue. What can I say? I really like it, and I'm really excited that this is the last book in the duology because I have the first and second book, I read it, and it's a series finished, which, you know, is always exciting. And the next stuff I'm reading, so I have 2 more indie books I need to read. One is Once Stolen. This is a short one. I did read the first chapter just because I wanted to like know what it was about. I think that one of the main point of views is like a mer person or something. I'm unsure. It was interesting, and they seem to have oversensory. I don't know what it's called, but like when they don't have this specific stone, their interactions with the world are too much. and that seems to be a part of it. And they seem to be like an unlikable main character, which I'm interested in. I don't know much else other than we were in the water, and this character has scales and like a tail. So I still have a lot more to go to figure out what's happening there, but that's probably the next indie book I pick up. And the last one is Crowning Soul, which I don't know anything about yet because I haven't read it. So those are my priorities. Those are things I need to get to. And if you hadn't seen, I did the Golden Girls tag on Evie's channel. Go check that out. It has Evie, Stephanie, Katrina, and I doing a book tag together, talking shenanigans. It was so fun. We did that Monday night, and she aired it on her channel. It was a great time. I just love hanging out with my book friends. And this weekend, I get to go away to have my best friend's bachelorette party, so who knows what reading will or will not occur. I'll have some good audiobook time while I drive to and from the thing, but otherwise, who knows, going to be hanging out with people. But I'm just loving what I'm reading right now. I need to finish filming so I can go read more of The Boy with Fire, because I have no clue what's going to happen. It is so cool. Like, I do not know what's happening, and I cannot wait. So that's it for this quick Friday reads. Let me know what you're reading, watching, playing, anything. And if you want to leave an emoji, leave fire, obviously, because of The Boy with Fire. Or I guess if you were more excited about the sword in the street, you can leave a sword. I will leave that up to you. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.